Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you might be in this wonderful world of ours, and welcome to this In the Spotlight with me, your host today, Seamus Corey, wellbeing consultant, mental health trainer, practitioner even, and trainer, facilitator, mentor, and coach. It's great to have you in today, and can I just say at the start, it's wonderful that my follow list and my subscription list is growing. So I thank you for that. And I thank you for tuning in and connecting with me on these amazing episodes. I am just having the best time having some amazing conversations with amazing people. You don't want to miss out. So if you don't want to miss out, just click the link, follow the subscription button, click the follow button. It's as simple as that. Stay tuned to some amazing conversations with some amazing people. It's as simple as that, and you won't want to miss today's episode. I have the amazing privilege and honor to welcome to In the Spotlight today one amazing badass in her own words human being. Let me just start by saying, and I'm reading directly from this individual's bio. Badassery is defined as the behavior, characteristics, or actions regarded as formidably impressive. And that's what my guest, brings to the table, and how she sees businesses deserve to be seen. She's about taking your seemingly boring business and shaking it up, creating beautiful chaos. It's seen inside out through practical actions to stand the heck out. Not 69-page policy, procedure, and protocol documents, pretty designs, or boring templates. I am privileged. I am humbled today. I stand on the shoulder of giants to welcome to In the Spotlight today, Beatrice Gutknecht. Beatrice, good afternoon and welcome to In the Spotlight. How are you?
Hey, Seamus. Thanks so much for having me on. I feel like I just need to pay you to record that intro and just I'll just have that.
You got it. You got it.
Ahead of me coming into a room, it'll start playing that.
Do you think it should be a much deeper voice? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wherever you might, yeah, one of those
coming into the fight.
Yeah, don't yeah.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the red corner.
And in the pink corner this afternoon, we have wearing the pearls coming all the way from Spain, the one, the only Miss Beatrice Gutknecht. How's that?
Woo.
Excellent. Beatrice, so nice to have you. How is life? Where are you coming to us from the world today?
So I am in Valencia, Spain. It's getting sunnier, thankfully. Exactly. Born and grew up in Australia, though, hence the kangaroo that you see about the place with baseball bat and the shades, just being
I like it. Being a badass kangaroo, yeah.
You just want someone in your corner sometimes to take out some knees.
Yeah, you've had a bit of I would say you're a bit of a global citizen, right? You've had a bit of a journey in your life.
Understatement.
Yeah, just a little bit of a journey, just a little with some amazing experiences. Do you wanna share with our listenership where you've been in the world and what finds you in Spain and how did you get to Valencia in Spain?
Okay, let's start with where I've been. Okay, so born and grew up in Australia and moved to Myanmar not long after I finished university. Lived there for 10 years until the military coup and my dad passed away. And then 6 months after that, moved to Thailand just purely because it was that little bit of knowing, right? You're already on the precipice of the gaping hole where you can't see anything, and you're like, just give me a little bit of a cushion. It's just something. Yeah. So Thailand was that. And, because I had convinced my dad to move to Thailand so that he could live his best life. That's all that I had just always wanted for him. He was living there when he passed away, and in a way that kind of made it difficult to just stay there for long, like aside from the headache later on with the visas, just like every time, because Thailand is associated to older gents of a particular skin color. Okay. How do I not be racist here? Yeah. Older gents moving there to kind of retire.
Right.
And so, I'd often see them like just struggling down the road, like themselves. And it just kind of dug it in a little bit more for me. And, adding into that, the country was just like being a pain with the visa. I was like, okay, you know what? I started this business, and like when I moved to Thailand, that's when I started Badassery by B as well. I already have enough stress with this, and that is like my passion, my everything. Like I want to focus on that. That this visa thing is not necessary. It's like, okay, well, since I'm half Portuguese nationality and half Swiss, just to further make things like international.
I love it.
Okay, where should I move? Good old AI friends.
Bring on the AI.
Right. Like, where the hell do I move?
Yeah.
I kind of just put in my preferences. Like I'm very much a city girl. Like I love the energy of a city, like of working in a cafe, of like that buzz, right? Yeah. I could never live in the countryside. I might just go all white hair. I'm like, no, I can't do this. So finally Europe came to be the main choice, because I didn't need a visa or anything like that, and sunny weather, warmth, culture. It came to Valencia, and so now I've been here for a year, and I never actually thought I would live in Europe. I visited frequently growing up, but it's crazy to think like just down the road there's like a castle like thing. Like you just turn left and you're like, what am I living next to? Fine. Where, in Australia, that's not a thing. Southeast Asian was definitely not.
Yeah, it's pretty cool in Europe, isn't it? There's quite a lot of castles and forts and history and heritage and culture and all that kind of stuff. Not to mention the food. The food's pretty good as well, right?
I mean, just being in Europe.
Yeah.
Like with France being so nearby, Italy.
Yeah, the UK even.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Don't forget the good old UK.
Fish and chips, right?
Fish and chips, you're right. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
I'm just like, although you have to yell at me if this is wrong, but I do love a Guinness pie.
Nice.
I do love it. I missed it. I haven't had one since probably Myanmar. And that's really weird of me to say that it was in Myanmar the last time I had it.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
When I first got there, the country, keep in mind, was closed for 50 years.
Yeah.
30 years. Like, and then it started getting like they elected a president, etc. And it opened up. And everybody with their ideas, they started investing, and more the restaurant scene started growing. including like different kinds of bakeries.
Wow.
And including things from everywhere internationally, because one of the pros and cons for Myanmar and from Burmese people is like they very much looked up to places like Australia, the US. So they really wanted, like, to the point that English was, I don't know, currently it became the main thing to teach in like the schools. And Burmese was like pushed out. And I was like, okay, I don't agree with that. You should be bringing in like, the tradition, the local language, etc.
Yeah.
So that was like the last time that I had one. And everywhere else that I've been afterwards, it's obviously not a part of the culture, or it's not, everywhere wants to promote like their own food, and like any other foods aren't really necessarily that great or that much explored, depending on the number of people that come here or to a place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So cool. Sorry, I just still can't get my head around
Guinness pie.
Oh, Guinness pie, yeah.
It's your fun one. I mean, maybe if I go to an Irish pub, but how good is it really going to be though?
Well, I think it'll knock your socks off.
Hmm.
I think if you have a pie and Guinness rather than a Guinness pie, then that might be a better combination, right?
What about a Guinness pie with Guinness?
It's a double whammy. It's a double whammy. You win on both occasions.
Exactly.
It's
won the lottery.
Yeah, it's like the starter and the main meal. You've got both, right? You've got both in the winner. Wow.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's been so many different journeys between like starting the business, between my parents passing away, between moving continents. This is my third continent.
Yes. Yeah.
And doing this, alone, and it's been interesting. And despite all the hardships and my dad passed away, my mom passed away, all those sorts of things, I wouldn't take it back. I wouldn't take it back, because I wouldn't be the person that I am now to get to the voice and really grasping who I am as like a person in terms of the confidence and the know-how and the knowledge and the real understanding of what it is that I represent and that I strongly feel about. Because I feel like as a society and schooling, it is pushed out. Like we're always looking to another person being like, okay, what are 60-70% of the people in the classroom going to vote for? What are they going to be their preference? And then trying to follow that rather than like, okay, well, but I like this. You'll be looked at it like as a weirdo. You'll be like the witch. Hey, she's a witch. We gotta
sort her out. Yeah. And look, they did that during the Middle Ages, right? Because if you thought differently, you were killed for it. You were murdered for it.
Exactly. I mean, has it really changed so much? Okay, maybe not to the point that like, death, but ostracization, like,
being different.
I think the people who really, really grasp it and do so without hesitation. Because the moment you hesitate, it leaves you open to sharks. But the ones that don't hesitate, that they're just fully committed, like almost like cult leaders, right?
Yeah.
They're like fully committed, and that's why everybody believes them. It's the same for business or personality. If they had that extreme idea and you go completely in, you're like, this is the right idea.
Yeah.
this is the way that it should be. Like, it's the same reason that, say, for example, Liquid Death, there's plenty of people that will be like, it's a witch. It's get rid of this. But
yeah, it's interesting. Does it require a certain level of consistency then, to it's about your brand, it's about your message, it's about your vision, it's about your mission. And does that have to be consistently applied in every situation?
heck yes, 100%. And that is the biggest thing that I see in businesses that they mess up.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so take, for example, what happened with Bud Light in the States. One marketing manager didn't recognize that, hey, this is our target audience. These are our values. This is what we represent. This is the kind of people that we work with.
Yeah.
And worked with a transgender influencer.
Yeah.
And it's purely, I don't think it's her fault. I think it's the company's fault that they didn't get everybody's buy-in. This is what we're about. This is what we live and breathe. So it goes from HR to marketing to sales, not just like, hey, we just need to get the marketing team involved. And that is the biggest misconception. People are like, oh, we need to rebrand. Let's talk to marketing. Yeah. It needs to be the entire team.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody needs to get around the table to build that vision and mission and brand that works for everybody, right? Because you'll be representative of that brand, right?
Exactly. And it's part of the reason why I'm so strongly against rebrands. Because as a rebrand, it means you're pretty much gutting your business, including those values, that mission, that vision, like what your goals are. Did you suddenly decide to change your goals?
Yeah.
Is that thing? And that's why things like the Twitter to X move didn't work. Because I mean, what's a translation for a tweet? Or the Jaguar rebrand didn't work because where is the essence? Right? Like, that essence should always be kept, and it should just be a reposition, and it should be really focused in on, once you have that position and that differentiation, and it's clear, you bought in, and you get your entire team on board, all the messaging, all the internal, get them involved and being like, okay, so say, for example, our value is being extra badass. Hey, Jimmy, what's your perception of badass? How do you see that playing out in your day-to-day? So it's like they're not trying to learn something new. They're adopting it as their own.
Yeah, and empowered to take it as their own and work with it as if it's their own. Yeah,
exactly.
And in those brands that are that have done that consistently, like, those are the brands that follow through, right, each and every time.
Exactly.
Each and every time. I remember growing up with Mars bars. I don't know if you know Mars bars, but Mars is a chocolate bar. And the consistent message was the Mars a day helps you work, rest, and play, and that was their mission, vision, and purpose, right? And they've never changed from that. They've never changed from that.
Exactly. There's always ways to update and refresh while staying true to that.
Yeah, interesting.
I saw a few days ago a ad by Estee Lauder.
Okay.
And it was one of their products that I still remember from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it's their advanced night repair, right? Okay. The brand is exactly the same. The bottle is exactly the same. Everything is exactly the same. But the ads the title, the how it plays out, it's beauty sleep duped.
Yeah.
And so they're now, it's like, how can we resonate with Gen Z? How can we resonate with millennials? Like us who are just like, did I get enough sleep? Did I sleep well? Because, I'm right. And that's leaning into the current pains. But the essence of the company, what it looks like, what it stands for is exactly the same.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. And in terms of the work that you do, would you say that would be classed as a positive disruptor?
Yeah. Yeah.
A positive disruptor rather than a negative one. You just do it, you positively disrupt the flow to encourage organizations to think and feel in a new way, right?
Exactly. 100%. To me, I'm very against and I see this a lot with personal brands,
Yeah.
where they will put out one crazy like opinion each day. And it's purposely to get people angry.
Yeah.
And then the next day is another opinion. And then next day is another opinion. And maybe those opinions over like contradict each other. And it's like,
Yeah.
what for what? What is the point? What are you doing with this?
Yeah. Yeah.
It has to be positive for it to really resonate. The things that we remember as children, like Sesame Street or Cartoon Network or all these things. It just elicited a kind of emotion in us. It gave us a bit of escapism from our day to day, and that's what you want to do with your brand.
Yeah, yeah.
Even yourself.
100%. And as a business owner, as a founder, my mission, vision, value, and purpose is extremely important to me. I'm not going to recreate my message, my mission, my vision, my value, my purpose. That's going to remain true. But I may make some tweaks on the periphery to make me stand out a little bit more, right? So that's the magic, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. It's those tweaks. It's like as you go, it's like, hey, pivot, 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 pivot. Like little pivots so that later on people be like, wait, this is stuck in my head. Like this person who's like doing air guitar before we even started.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's stuck in my head, right? Like those kind of moments, you do it enough times, it sticks.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter from a personal brand, from a business brand, it will work.
Yeah.
But
In the world of noise that we're living in, though, and we are surrounded by constant distractions, constant noise, or information. I mean, I can tell you, B, when I grew up and when I was a child, we only had two channels on the TV, right? And the TV went off at 11 o'clock. There was no internet, there was no mobile phones. If you wanted to get information about any subject, you had to go down to your local library, or in my case, go to my best friend Paul, who had a Encyclopedia Britannica full set, and that was the business, right? He was the only guy.
yeah,
He was the only guy on the street that had one. But if you wanted, I mean, our school projects were smashed out of the water because of as Encyclopedia Britannica. We got information and nobody else has because we had access to, the big brown book, right? And you remember the big brown book stuck under your TV, and there's 24 volumes, and the paper itself, it just felt like quality. I miss Britannica, Encyclopedia Britannica so much. I really do. It was just a quality book. Obviously, that was replaced with the internet. That was replaced by, mobile technology. And now we are surrounded by 24/7. We literally can't get away. Is it too much?
it
Is it
is.
too much? Yeah.
Like the problem, the biggest issue in research is that whatever you search, if you type it in a certain way, you will get responses in the affirmative.
Yeah.
because there is enough information out there.
Yeah.
I think it's called something bias. Anyway, but so if you type in our vitamins good for you, right? The things that will come up, the first things that will come up will support that.
Yeah.
Right. So unless you're very careful in the way you research, that's what's going to happen. And the same thing for, I was talking this to this like about, I was talking about this to a friend at lunch, where now whatever, any kind of food, any kind of supplement, whatever, there's news that says, oh, this is really good for you. And then there's news that's like, or scientific research that says this is really bad for you. So it's like, well, okay, at this point, everything in moderation, right? Otherwise we have to follow, oh, suddenly milk is bad for you, or bacon.
Do we switch it off, or is it a question about asking the right questions?
I think it's the right questions. I really
the right questions, right?
And
how do you know what the right question is, though? Right? Because you need obviously to do some research before you do some research in order to get to the question, don't you?
This might not be the best advice, I think, but at the beginning, it is really a lot of like bringing common sense.
Yeah.
And, understanding that you can get that confirmation bias and to like keep on searching. So say, for example, if you want to find out about vitamins, maybe you want to be like, okay, what's the specific one? And then check out different sources or check out different browsers or search engines that will actually show you more of a varied source of responses. So it's like going in and not necessarily taking the first response that you get as the answer.
Yeah.
Although now with AI, that might be changing for the worse or better, because people are just using AI as a Google now, right? And it'll just give them that one answer.
And that's it.
And they'll be like, okay, so this is the result. And that's what they'll, use in essays. That's what they'll use in content, which I see as a very dangerous thing moving forward. Because everyone's just going to go back, like double down on that. Like, this is the one stance. This is the right thing. And if you're not following this, you're the witch.
Yeah. And I suppose, and on that, if you don't successfully pivot, you're going to get left behind, right?
That's why I really suggest to reposition, so that you're not just following close behind. Like, you always have to be tailgating at some point, right?
Yeah. It's a motorway. It's a motorway. We're all on motorway, right? So you have to know when to pull out and go into the faster lane, right?
Take like that fast pass. Just pay a little extra, get the fast pass, and just go that direction.
Yeah. But you have to know when to do that, because
exactly
you have to know when on the journey to do that, right?
That, and I recommend basing it in the known.
Yeah.
A lot of the times we try to create fancy names or use generic terms like authenticity, impact, results, which, even between us, like, we'll have different ideas of what they mean.
Yeah.
So avoiding any of those subjective wording, avoiding anything that is like too fuzzy, right? Staying in the known. Maybe it means taking from a completely different industry, like the ice cream supplement brand Halo Top. They started off as in the ice cream field, right? And they were looking at like Nestle, all these other big companies that they've got a monopoly on the market already.
Yeah.
Like, good luck with coming in as a new product in that
Yeah.
industry.
Or even getting on a shelf, right? Because
Yeah, you'll be like right at the bottom, like nobody even looks down there, right?
yeah,
So they're
yeah,
like, okay, look at a different industry. So they looked at the gym and the supplement and the health industry and repositioned as like, hey, how about a post-gym ice cream like protein supplement?
yeah. Boom.
They're in the known. Both things are known. Ice cream is known.
Yeah.
Post-gym like workouts supplements are known now.
Mhm.
Easy. Well,
Boom.
not, I mean, easy as in like this is the idea. Then you need to actually make it go and like implement it. Make sure that people know that. That's the marketing, then the sales. Going out there, having ads talking about that.
Yeah. It's it's an interesting it's an interesting journey. It's almost intuitively or instinctually felt, I presume, when when to reposition, when to pivot, when is right. It's looking, in terms of magic and spiritualism, it's almost looking at the signs and the portents and the omens and seeing what's currently there, but looking ahead to the kind of just around the curve of the future in terms of, okay, where do we need to pivot our position in order to align ourselves with what's coming down the road? So you've mentioned AI technology, for example, and a lot of companies will be looking at AI technology and either scarily looking at it with anxiety or fear or charged with energy and enthusiasm of what AI can bring to the table, right, in terms of the potentiality of that. I think it's still early doors. I think there's a lot of companies still in the UK who say use AI cautiously because what you might get in terms of answers or replies mightn't be the correct ones.
Oh yeah. It's always going to have that little bit of or a lot of uncertainty where
Hmm.
you should be cross-checking like, hey, does this actually line up with what's going on? But in terms of businesses and when they should approach positioning and repositioning in the market,
Hmm.
I would say it's after you've had time working with customers,
Yeah,
right? You've gotten that feedback. You've made those initial pivots because there will be those initial pivots
yeah,
that you need to make, that your goals, your overall vision is like, well, actually maybe this isn't going to work in this way. So we need to change it.
yeah.
Once you're defined with that, then go into reposition so that you're not just competing with thousands of other businesses that either their website will be the same or the way that they're speaking is the same. That is the time then.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. And obviously, being the woman in the know, you're best placed then to come in and help clients and organizations to engage in that process of confidence and trust, where you take them on a journey, I presume, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, like one of my clients recently, they're an architectural door and hardware, sorry, door and cabinet hardware
Yeah.
manufacturer. Like they work with those manufacturers to provide handles for entryways for new buildings. And what they found was when them and everybody else selling the same thing at the same level were facing is like the end user were only coming to them after the essence of their house has already been built. So
Yeah.
those builder grade doors are already there. So like just the standard door. And say, for example, say that customer, they saw a beautiful entryway like handle, or they saw something on an Instagram. They're like, I want this. And they'll look at that and they're like, no, sorry, because of that door, we can't do that. So you have to stick to that very basic level. So it's like, okay, let's take a step back. What would be the best time that we could approach that during that journey?
Yeah, during that process, right? Yeah.
During their buyer journey, to avoid that happening. And so they were saying, okay, this will be at when the designer is doing their drawing. That would be the most ideal time, because then they can draw in those kind of special doorways, right? And then it's like, okay, so how can we appeal and connect to those designers? Because otherwise it's like, well, why should I bother to work with you, right? And understanding that they always are looking for inspiration. They're always looking to be the go-to choice in the market because they are the most trendy, or they're using the best kinds of designs. They're forward with their direction. So finally, we pivoted this company to be a resource to designers, so that upcoming trends, tools that they could use, having those designers on board to be a part of that process, bring them into videos, etc. Then suddenly they're no longer competing with that mass of other door, cabinets, hardware spaces.
They're already elevated.
Hey, we're approaching at this early stage.
Yeah, very clever. Very clever.
So then it's like, again, after that, we're like, hey, how can we implement this? And it's like talking to the team, getting the team on board and get them like bought in on the idea. What does this look like in the business? Okay, how about on the website? How can we adapt the website so that it, represents this idea? Because at the end of the day, a strategy shouldn't be, as we said at the beginning, a 69-page document. It should just be like, this is the idea. How are we going to get this on board and implement in every single step and make sure that it stays consistent?
Yeah, and every single department is on board in terms of that process, right?
Not just marketing. It's like, hey, so what about in the showroom? What are they saying? How are they saying it?
Yeah.
And that's when the magic happens.
Because in every organization, everybody becomes a brand ambassador, right?
Exactly. Doesn't matter B2B, B2C. That's what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely fascinating. Beatrice, you'll be amazed, but our time's up.
Woohoo! Thank you so much for having me on. That was only 5 minutes.
Yeah, it felt like 5 minutes. I felt like we were only in the surface level, getting into deeper water. We could speak all day about pivoting and rebranding and refocusing and realigning and
just shaking things up
and shaking things up. You're a proper badass. In terms of your business, where can people find you, Beatrice? I know you're going to leave your links are going to be in the show notes, but where's the best place to reach you? Where are you active most?
Most active on LinkedIn under Beatrice Gutknecht. You get a lot of updates there. There are 2 other options. The second one is the Badass Mob newsletter, where you get full breakdowns direct to your email, including tips for how to implement those strategies into each department each Friday in your email. That's the Badass Mob. And you can check out the show notes for the link to get to that. And lastly, the Art of Branding podcast.
Yes.
getting guests on board and talking about what that really, like, different ways how that goes.
Fantastic. Beatrice Gutknecht, it's been a pleasure to have you on today. You've been an amazing guest. You've brought the joy, you've brought the sunshine to my afternoon here in the UK. Continue to do the amazing work you do and shake things up disruptively and positively for the betterment of organizations and clients out there, I think, for the betterment. They just need to trust the process ultimately, right?
Exactly. Thank you so much for having me on.
And you too, and have a wonderful rest of the day, right?